Well, following the discovery of the latest conviction of the COVID-19 cases in southwestern Chinese city of Chengdu, many people are concerned about the development of the business community here. So today we have arrived at Jinjiang district, one of the central business districts of the city, to find out how the latest cases are affecting the area. As you can see, this is an area of skyscrapers, shopping malls, as well as small vendors. It's really a mixture of all kinds of business forms. And here we are seeing many milk teas and the shops of Chinese hamburgers. Let's talk to one of them to find out how they're doing. 老板你好，可以简单跟您聊两句吗？
可以啊，
想问一下，最近这个疫情啊，对于您这个生意有没有一些影响呢？
影响还是挺大的。你看路上人都很少，影响还是挺大的。
像往常的话，您这边的这个生意应该是挺火爆的吧？
往常还可以吧，星期六、星期天这儿人也多，这儿毕竟是旅游景区吧，人还挺多的。这样平常就是300多单、400单左右，现在就是80、90单，还是少了很多。
So the owner has told us that because of the pandemic, usually during normal days, they can sell about 400 Chinese hamburgers in a day. But now, because of the customer flow drop, they can only sell like 90 orders of these hamburgers. Actually, is one of their specialties. 那我想问一下，咱们店内的这个消杀工作啊，和这个疫情防控的措施有哪些呢？
就是我们来了之后，就是上班第一件事就是桌面、地面彻底消毒，用酒精喷扫。然后我们个人也比较注意，把口罩啊那些都还是戴好，勤洗手、手套这些都准备好。
So for their own sterilization measures, the owner told me that the altogether 5 employees, the first job in the morning is to wipe the desks and the tables, as well as to taking out the fresh ingredients out of the fridge and check the origin of these ingredients. If they're from not very safe origins, they would really throw away these ingredients. And as you can see, the ingredients are orderly set on the table, a really clean table, as you can see. But unfortunately, there aren't many customers now inside the shop. 那对于您来说，这个疫情就是和今年年初相比啊，它的对您的影响大吗？您有信心就是能度过这一次的难关？
就现目前和年初比吧，虽然我们这次现在的生意要比年初还要淡一点点，但是我们很有信心，相信政府能尽快的平复这件这个事情的。
您在这边开店多长时间了
？5年多了，5年多6年了。
所以一直生意都是挺好的，所以还是很有信心的，对不对？
没有这疫情，生意还可以，就是疫情影响还是挺大的，所以还是相信应该能很快平息这个疫情的。
好，谢谢您。希望这个疫情对您的这个影响会少一点，好吧？好，谢谢老板。So the owner told me that actually business is even like worse than the first strike of the pandemic at the beginning of this year, during February, because now's not the tourism peak season, and plus the influence of the pandemic. So really a challenging moment for small business like himself. He's also told us that the shop hasn't been renovated in 5 years because they insisted on selling the hamburgers on a relatively low price to not actually cheat out the customers, because that was the price 5 years ago when he first opened the shop, and that's the price he insisted on keeping now. We also have the street community official with us today, and he's going to tell us what are the detailed measures for the protective measures. 那您是街道办这边的一位工作人员，对吧？对。然后您简单跟我们说，就是这里的这些店铺，他们一般都是跟您很熟的，对吧？
对，我这儿工作5、6年了，就是他们商家跟我们都还是比较熟悉的，
就像朋友一样。对。那您觉得这次疫情对他们的这个影响是不是还挺大的？肯定还是有，相对来讲还是比较大的。对。 像尤其现在是一个周日的下午，这个人流量是不是不太正常？平常的话，平时在周日的话，这个人流量应该是什么样的？
比较大的，它是可能比以前少了1/3左右，人流量。对。
So this is an untypical Sunday afternoon. So during usual weekends, the pavements are usually crowded with tourists and customers. And the official just told me that the customer flow is down by almost 2/3 than usual hours. And you can see, this is a really interesting comparison, a mixture of the fashion side of the Chengdu, and here on this side is the daily life, the small vendors, the food stalls, the tea milks, and also here we have one of Chengdu's most famous actually specialties called bobo chicken. If you've ever been to Chengdu, you will see that this is a famous brand. So, but as you can see, there aren't many customers inside. Let's talk to their owner and find out how's he doing. 你好，我们进来现在是要先消下毒是吗？
对的。
So we need to take our temperature first before we can enter the shop. Oh, it's too cold outside. The monitor cannot take my temperature. I have to use my forehead. Okay, and he's taking the temperature of my cameraman.
好的。
Okay.
这个你没起。
好，谢谢。那可以耽误您几分钟，跟您简单聊聊吗？
可以啊。
我就想问一问，咱们现在的经营状况怎么样？尤其在这个发生了这个疫情之后的话。
现在这个疫情啊，使得就是说原本泰国里面的人流量很大的，现在已经变得很冷清的一个状况。现在我们那个门店上呢，那个顾客也很少了。所以就是这个状况。
So usually during weekends, the neighborhoods and the outskirts of Taikoo are surrounded by people here, and usually this is a very popular store here in Chengdu. So customers usually need to queue outside the shop, but now, as you can see, there's no one inside. 那为了减轻这种冲击，咱们有哪些措施来能让顾客放心呢？
首先，我们那个顾客进来的时候，我们会让顾客出示他的那个一个健康码。然后进来的时候呢，我们会让顾客在这边进行一个洗手消毒的一个过程。然后呢，我们顾客进来的时候呢，我们会控制客流量的一个让他们保持一个适当的一个间距，让他们就是说有一个使那个空气能够流通一点。
那如果是这种消杀方面的有哪些具体的做法？
就是说我们现在我们门店上呢，就是说每天会进行一个3次的一个全面的一个消杀，包括我们的一个桌椅、地面和我们的一个器具。都一个进行一个用那个消毒水那个进行那个消杀。
So every day, the shop would do at least 3 times of sterilization of the shop itself, the desks, the table, and also they're using disposable chopsticks like this. Disposable ones, and also for every table you can see there's tissue paper for the customers to use, and also the wipers, wet wipers. 那对于这个原材料方面，咱们这里会不会更加的去小心的使用，去选用这个原材料？因为我们看到有些病例，它可能是在这个旅行史当中涉及到一些菜市场哈，所以咱们这里在进货，因为都是熟食嘛，对吧？还有鸡肉啊，还有别的一些这个肉类，咱们这个进货的方面有没有注意的地方？
我们进货的话，就是首先会要求我们的一个供应商，他有相关的一个资质证明和现在有一个关于那个冻品之类的一个它的一个生产合格证或者是许可证之类的，就是说我们每天会呢对那个原物料进行一个排查，确保我们的那个原物料在有效的保质期里面。
So for the ingredient part, they're making sure that the meat and the vegetable they use are from better qualified providers of the ingredients to make sure that the customers feel safe to eat here. And as you can see, the tables and the holders are being wiped very clean, so that the customers will also feel safe to eat here. And if they want to have hot pot at home, they have this kind of takeaway packages for them. So this is because this is a very famous brand, so people would prefer to, take the hot pots at home and maybe have a little party with their friends. And this is also another way to minimize the impact of the latest cases on famous brands like this. So people don't need to eat in the shop, rather they can have the food at home. 那谢谢您跟我们说这些，也希望这个疫情的影响尽快能够过去，好吧？
我也相信我们那个国家和我们那个政府能够尽快的把我们这个疫情给控制过去。
好，谢谢。So it's really a great pity to see a once so popular shop, because I was here last time and I was queuing actually outside this shop, and now it's really kind of hurtful to see that the owner, he's not getting many customers, because the rent here is quite high, so without the customers it would be difficult for some of them to even pay this month's rent. 那您可不可以继续再跟我们说一说，就是对于这个街道办的工作来讲，我们怎么去尽量帮助这些尤其是小本生意，去降低疫情对他们的影响呢？
咱们成都市在3月15号出台了一个不允许坚持相关的一个规定，它规定这个特别是做上餐饮的，它可以在不占用消防通道、不占用盲道，还有不侵害群众利益这么个情况下，它可以适当的出摊占道，比如说它利用仅有的空间，它可以外摆桌子。
出摊占道的意思就是什么呢？
外摆它的商品的外摆，它吃的东西，它的桌子它可以外摆。对。
这样就其实扩大了它店面的面积，也说是，也不会让一些人因为排队太久就走了，是吧？
对。
那除了这个方面，我们可不可以再聊一聊，就是除了餐饮哈，咱们这个娱乐行业可能也会受到影响。
娱乐行业它现在控制这个人数在之前的75%左右。
75%。对。就是这个是对于咱们锦江区来说的是吧？
对，整个成都市应该是。
整个成都市都是这样。对。Okay, so this is actually great news, because the municipal government has ordered the customer flow of recreational venues to be no higher than 70% of the total capacity of these venues, because of the latest cases of one of the patients traveling to several recreational venues in one night, creating some concerns online that she may have caused the spread of this virus, which later the girl said is not her business, because she was in those places for job interviews. But nonetheless, the recreational businesses have been influenced somehow by this, and it's also a great reminder for people that maybe to not yet let the guard down on going to mahjong houses and go to cinemas or karaoke places. 对于您来说，这个地方还是，咱们这个街道还是有很大的商业潜力的。您觉得会因为这个疫情的影响而造成一些比较大的伤害吗？对于这些企业来说，
这个影响肯定是短暂的。这个包括咱们街坊，包括咱们社区，包括整个成都市，这个疫情防控措施都还是做得非常好的。相信这个最多1-2周就完全可以控制下来。这个我还是有信心的。
So he and his colleagues are very confident about the control of the situation caused by the latest cases, because as you know, China has been dealing with the pandemic for months, and this is not the first time of locally transmitted cases being discovered here in Chengdu. And he said hopefully the impacts will last no longer than 2 weeks. And we're also arriving at another very popular spot on the street, and let's talk to the owner. And here we can see many people are still inside having their dinner, so let's talk to the owner to see what's the situation now. 您好，您可以耽误您几分钟吗？您简单跟我们说一说，就是这个疫情以来对于您的生意有没有一些影响？
生意的话还是稍微有点影响的，但是在政府的大力积极的管控之下吧，很快得到了控制，我觉得会慢慢的好起来的。
So this is actually you can see the decor of the shop and the customer description are all young people. So it's very popular among young people. And the owner just told me that although the influence cannot be ignored, it's actually controllable, and he's confident that under regulations and discipline of the ministerial government, the impacts will be minimized as soon as possible. 谢谢，谢谢。So we're walking very close to one of the entrances of the famous Taikoo Li, and it's actually one of the largest shopping centers in downtown Chengdu, a semi-open area, but nonetheless under very tight security. And we can see many people are queuing up at the entrances, and they're waiting for their checks to be allowed inside the premises. 我们可以进到这个太古里里看一下吗？
可以，现在是开放的。
啊，是开放的，是吧？好。And you can see as it approaches the dinner time, many delivery guys are here to take the orders. With many restaurants closed down, the people prefer to order their food online. So probably a booming business of the food delivery industry. And we're coming to one of the over a dozen entrances of the Taikoo Li. And again, we're about to take our temperature and show a green travel code.
好，你出示一下您的健康码。
It's better that you take a screenshot. Take a screenshot of your travel history code so that you don't have to, log into the system and take it out every time. I still need to take the hand sterilizer. 谢谢. Give me a minute to wipe it up. Although it looks very troublesome, it's actually for my own good, so it's fine. But my hands are very cold after the sterilizer, especially under this temperature here in Chengdu. 咱们现在看到的是这个太古里里面的场景，是吧？咱们现在看到是这个太古里里面的场景，我看到还是有一些人流量的哈，并不是像我来之前猜测的那样，说是门可罗雀的景象。
今天主要是第一个天气比较冷，第二个确实因为疫情它有些影响，但是确实影响不是很大，
对吧？其实说这个咱们现在所在的这个位置离这个病原地也不叫病原地吧，就是案例比较多的这个郫都区，其实有一定的距离吧？
有一定的距离，可能几十公里远
啊，几十公里远，而且控制的其实挺好的，把它控制在一定的这个隔离圈之内。对。所以我看这个大家好像都不是很担心的样子哈，该买的还是买哈，该吃该
防护措施，包括口罩这些都自己能够带上，主动的带上。所以说你看他们这个苹果店里面生意还是比较。
Well, surprisingly, there are still many people inside the Apple Store. Well, the charm of the Apple Store is not affected by the pandemic, apparently. And also, you can see at the center of the square, the celebration for the holiday is going on as usual. As you can see, some of the international brands have set up their Christmas display platform, and it's very exquisite. And as it approaches nighttime, we can see there are more people than when we first got here during in the afternoon. 我感觉比我们下午来的时候人要多了，
要多一些。对，上午确实比较冷。
对，
成都天气它就这样。
So probably after a lazy morning in bed, people are choosing, to come out again. So if you are seeing some rumors online saying that people are not coming out in Chengdu or the downtown areas have been shut down, it's as you can see, it's not true. And people here in Chengdu are basically really calm, and life is going on as usual, business as usual, not affected. So because the municipal government, as it said, is very experienced in dealing with the pandemic, and the current cases are still be confined in the first tier quarantine circle, which means the original cases, even though some of them are not yet being found, they're still confined in the most inner circle of the cases, and most of them, actually all of them, are close contacts of the first cases. So there's no need to panic, and as you can see, nobody's panicking, and people are really preparing for the holiday season in an orderly and calm fashion. 那对于现在这个节假日即将到来的话，咱们这个街道办的防护压力是不是还是有一定的上升啊？
肯定要比之前上升多少？对。
有没有就是说一些额外的措施呢？除了管控人流之外呢？
包括我们的工作人员，我们街办的工作人员，所有的人都是全员上岗的。对，包括哪儿有需要，我们的支援到哪儿。包括社区，包括院落，都有我们街道办的工作人员，上门服务。
您说的这个就是社区和院落里面是指要去照顾一些这些社区里的需要帮助的人是吗？
这是第一个，另外一个还有的社区需要帮助他们测体温，对，这个。看门嘛，就是这种。
看门是什么意思？
就是守门，就是对，当门卫。
这样吗？
对。
哦 ，OK。所以就是我们现在的主要的工作，在疫情方面就是帮他们守住这个每一个社区的出入口，对吧？对，不要让无关人员随意的这样进出，增加这个感染的风险。
对。
So as holidays approach, the main job of the community officials, which are really the real hero, apart from doctors and nurses, of course, in a pandemic, because they are sacrificing their personal hours to take care of people in need, and they're guarding the communities and making sure that non-residents are not going into the residential compounds, and making sure that those in need, for example, the disabled, the elderly, and those have fallen ill, are getting what they need on a daily basis. So even though the weather is cold and the pandemic is causing a lot of influence on everyone's personal life, they're still standing very steadfastly on their own posts. 对于您来说，就是这个街道的话，是一个值得守护的地方。
那是。
您觉得就是说，在这工作了5、6年之后，对他也是挺有感情的。
非常有感情。我这儿确实干了5、6年，确实跟这儿的每一寸土地、每一个人，都结下了比较深厚的友谊，深厚的感情。
所以咱们在日常的工作生活当中，其实就像朋友和朋友的沟通一样，而不像是说一定要把这个命令去执行的这种感觉哈。
对。
咱们还是一个比较，怎么说呢？
比较和谐的
个人和个人的一种沟通，然后大家也都很愿意去配合。
对，所有的包括这儿的居民群众都还是比较配合的。这个政府有什么需要，有什么措施，大家群众都能够理解，都能够支持。
不是说突然要求你这个小区要加强封锁，加强管控了，或者说突然要求你这个商贩要加强这个原材料的这个筛选了之后，他们会有一些不满，也不会有这样的。
不会有，这本来是对大家负责，对自己也负责，对大家都有好处嘛，对整个中国这个疫情防控都是有好处的。
那您觉得这次的疫情跟上次相比，您觉得四川的人民、成都的人民有信心去把它克服吗？
完全有，放心。成都人民、四川人民都有这个信心。
好，谢谢您，今天谢谢您陪我在这里走一圈，好吧？感谢您，谢谢。So the official just told me that although this is second hit of the locally transmitted cases of Chengdu in months, he's still very confident that the people of Chengdu, the people of Sichuan, are totally capable of handling the situation. And as you can see, business is as usual, and life is as usual, and the fashion girls are dressing very fashionably as usual, and couples are touring around the street as usual. So if you're seeing rumors online saying that there's a lockdown of the city of Chengdu and there's a lockdown of certain businesses or central business centers, you would know by now that is not true.